Hey guys, just finished watching Gifted, Season 2, Episode 13, Tempt. This episode was really interesting. What an interesting episode. Now, the episode on its own doesn't really deal with too much. It really I guess it kind of feels like a filler episode since it's kind of a bit more, like, not too much moves on into the Inner Circle's barely involved in this episode, and the Purifiers are barely involved in this episode either. So it's really just kind of dealing with the Mutant Underground storyline, more kind of a close to home episode with the Mutant Underground. I mean, we start off with we get a flashback, we get more of a Morlocks episode than it is dealing with the Inner Circle and stuff like that. So we start off this episode with a flashback to had a human girlfriend when he first found he was becoming before he first founded the Morlocks and stuff, and she betrayed him, and that's when kind of his interest in his trust of humans kind of died with her, right? So I think that was kind of really interesting there, and I think it would have been more interesting to kind of see, just expand that a little bit more if we had that earlier on in an episode, maybe when him and Blink first met, maybe he could have told that story into a little bit more detail, getting her side of the story, because really this flashback, we only saw it from Erg's point of view, how could she betray me, right? But we don't know exactly what they did. Did they threaten her? Did they, did the Sentinel Service be like, hey, here's pictures of your family or this or that, and everyone, against her. So she chose either her boyfriend, which who knows how long they had been together, because they've only been together for like maybe a year or something, really. It's in that this boyfriend she's been with maybe a year, who knows? We don't know how long they've been together. They could have been together for 10 years. We don't know their relationship, how long they've been together, but it clearly wasn't worth it for her, because they could have had threatened her whole family, like, if you go with him, you either help us take these guys down, or you and the rest of your family spend the rest of the time in jail and everything like that, and everything kind of ruins it for her whole family, not just her, right? So I think that could have been interesting, just seeing exactly from the Sentinel Service, from her perspective, is what Sentinel Service had kind of told her. What did they threaten her with exactly to get her side of the story? But then we see Lorna finds out that the Inner Circle's plan was to take down the government, or at least the Max guy who could touch things and then make them explosive, make them blow up. He has plans. She sneaks into his room and kind of sees plans to take down, they're trying to take down statues and stuff, saying that they can take down a building eventually, and she sees these plans in his room for the Pentagon, the White House, and all kinds of big government buildings and stuff. So I think that's going to be cool to see as to where things go with that. Hopefully we get to see something like that. That'd be a great way to end the season, but I'm really kind of scared. I really would not want to end with such a cliffhanger like that, because however this season ends, hopefully it ends in a way that there doesn't need to be another season. And if there is, if this season does end with a cliffhanger, I'm just afraid that they're not going to get that season 3, since everything else is getting canceled on the Netflix shows. And then Disney's taking over the mutants and stuff. Why would they want this show here rather than putting a Kevin Feige run show on the streaming service, on the Disney Plus streaming service, that has mutants involved to kind of to make it all interconnected? Why continue this? It's not connected to the old X-Men, but very similar, very much, very similar to the old, Hugh Jackman, Deadpool, and all those Michael Fassbender X-Men characters. So I think that's really interesting, dealing with that. So that's going to be cool to see as to where things go with that. I don't see this really getting a season 3. Hopefully, if it does end with a cliffhanger, maybe they can just do a short movie, or kind of do like Netflix did with Sense8 and just do a short movie. Or there's rumors of a Daredevil getting some short, quick movie just to kind of wrap things up in a bow and finish off all the cliffhangers. I think that would be a way to do it if this season has already been planned to end on a huge cliffhanger, because I think it's better than leaving the fans just kind of out in the open, right? And I think that could happen. Do that instead of making a season 3, or just do a season 3 with like very few episodes, like 5 episodes, just to wrap things up and then do it. Because I don't see them doing X-Men stuff with Kevin Feige too soon, because what's the rush? They own everything, right? They already have things, a plan laid out. They'll just add it to the end of the plan, which means we might not see X-Men till we might not see mutants in the MCU till 2022, and then maybe not get their own titled X-Men movie until 2023 or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of go with all that, and where things go for this show. So that'll be cool to see as to where things go. We see that other fractions of the Mutant Underground, are not up to fighting and stuff. They're like, we're outgunned, we're outnumbered, we can't do this, it's not going to work, so they're not involved. I guess that's disappointing, but it's like, of course they're going to do it. They were going to write something like that. As soon as they started fighting like that, I was like, of course, they're not going to have, all these different fractions and too many characters on screen. The show wouldn't be able to wouldn't be able to afford all these different characters with all these different powers. And you'd end up having, if you had like 100 people on the screen with powers, a lot of them would end up having the same exact kind of powers, because the special effects budget would all be, a lot of them would have to have practical effects budget, and then there's only a certain amount of practical effect powers you can have, and then it just becomes like boring, because it doesn't look like, the whole point, if you're going to have 100 mutants running at each other and kind of doing like a X-Men Last Stand kind of fight scene, like at the end when they were on Alcatraz Island and stuff. They had that fight scene at the end of the X3 movie. They wouldn't be able to afford it like that, because there'd be too many powers going on and stuff. So I think it would be interesting to see as to, of course, we're not going to do that. Disappointing, but of course they're not going to do that budgetary wise. So we see Lauren is not sleeping because she's scared of Andy. Andy's kind of been poking inside of her and stuff, which we know it's the Frost who are kind of poking at him and trying to use Andy to get to Lauren. So that's really interesting. And later on, then she ends up going off and start wandering and stuff, because the powers inside of her is kind of messing her up. And Reed ends up telling her how he kind of was drawn to the power and stuff, and he knows what she's going through. And that's when she, later on at the end of the episode, he gives her the cure. And I just realized this cure, connecting it to, it's the same. It looks like the same cure, same colored as the cure that Charles Xavier is taking in the latest X-Men movies, in the Apocalypse. And in Days of Future Past, when Wolverine first shows up and he's all depressed, not using his powers, using the serum that allows him to walk and stuff. It's also the same serum, which that serum is also used in the opening scene of the Days of Future Past, when it's being used on mutants to suppress their powers. So I think that's really interesting how it looks like the same. They've been keeping the same stuff. They haven't called it the same, but I'm pretty sure it looks the same colors, same thing, and it's kind of doing the same thing on both this show, the X-Men movies, and all that stuff. And I think that's really an interesting kind of look there, and seeing her uses it, and Lauren's able to use it, and it kind of cuts the ties between her and Andy. And I think that's really going to be interesting to see as to where things go there. We see Blink ends up getting Kate and Marcos to help Glow, and that's really what they do throughout this whole episode with the Morlocks. They end up helping Glow, the Who's gets shot. Which is ironic, because at the end of the episode, Eclipse, he spent the whole episode kind of giving her blood transfusion, and yet at the end he's going to need it from her, where she's going to be too weak to be able to give her blood transfusion. So I think that'll be cool to see as to how things go with this. How is he going to get healed up this time? I think that'll be quite cool to figure that one out. We see Lorna ends up falling asleep. Andy tries to control her, but she's controlled by the Frost, and that's where she starts to kind of wander off, and then she gets, until her father tells her, she knows what she's doing. He knows what it's like. He's gone through it and stuff. So I think this is really an interesting way to end. I love that ending there with Eclipse and Max. He was trying to kind of torture him, get some stuff out, and Max pulled a gun on him. And at first I was like, oh my god, did he? Because all those shots fired, and it's like he was shot. So was he shot multiple times? He shot once. And then I thought, is Eclipse just gonna die like this in a very quick ending? I mean, you can't kill off a huge character, a big main character like that, just in a throwaway, not even 5 minute long end scene of an episode like that. Like, wow. And then he steps out and he has looks like it's one hole, but I mean, obviously if the guy pointed at the same exact spot at that close range, it could be multiple shots just right in the one spot that's kind of like that one big hole, right, from 3 or 4 shots. So I think that's really going to be interesting to see, and I think it's really going to be cool. And it looks like the trailer, the Inner Circle realizes that Polaris is part of the mole inside of the Inner Circle, and I think that's going to be interesting to see as to where Andy's going to take sides. Does he go with Lorna, go with Polaris back to the Mutant Underground? How is things are going to work with that relationship, and how does things go? Have these Frost sisters, control of him? Are they going to change his mind? How are things going to go with that? And maybe I think it'd be interesting to see is if you know, the Frost sisters offered to Reva to just wiping her mind because they really need her, because she's Magneto's daughter and they need her you know, status as part, to prefer to be a part of it, right? I think that would be kind of interesting. And then maybe Andy overhears them saying that they're gonna, you know, mind wipe her and stuff, and he decides to you know, go, and her and Polaris and Andy can break out and stuff. And I think that could be something cool to seeing as how things go, and then to see as to how, you know, he's, you know, his beliefs are still not the same as the Mutant Underground, but if the situation gets too dire where they have to leave the inner circle, I think that could be really cool to seeing as to, with that, bringing that baggage to the Mutant Underground and how that relationship happens with his parents and everyone. I think it could be really cool to see as to where things kind of go from here. So all in all, I can't wait to see as to how things figure out. We do have a 2-week break, so we have next week there won't be an episode. It'll be on in 2 weeks, so I think that'll be cool to see as to where things go. We only have a few more episodes. I think it's episode 13 of 16, if I'm not mistaken, this season. 13, yeah, of 15, 16. I think it's 16. I heard someone say it right on my last review, so I think that's really going to be cool. We have 3 more episodes left after this one. Things should be ramping up, so I think that'll be cool to see as to where things kind of go. So let me know what you think about this, guys. Do you think this is going to get a season 3? What do you think things are going to go with the Disney streaming service? How do you think that's going to go? Hopefully, if this ends with cliffhanger, we can get like maybe a little movie to kind of, a little short movie to get put on the streaming service or somewhere like that, and just kind of, or a shorter season for season 3, just to kind of tie everything up in a bow. I think it would be cool, and a good way to end this show would be to just see the X-Men come back, and kind of the X-Men are here, and that's where you just end it, you know, type thing, and the X-Men take over, and that's where you kind of fade away. And I think that could be something cool. But yeah, let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.